Okay. Alright. Got it going. Welcome back, everybody. The Natives in America podcast. And with me, as always, is Sky Antum.
What's up? What's good?
Here he is. Alright.
Crack-a-lackin'.
So, just some news.
My bad. I was like, holding in the cough, but then I was like, gotta let it out.
Oh God, what was it? Okay, a little bit of news, everybody. We're trying to get Walter West, Mr. West, to come on. We almost pulled it off this weekend, but there was a clash of Father's Day and whatnot. I almost had him coming in. I reached out to Sky, and he's just like, "No, there's no way this weekend." So I went with a out of the archive, another old episode from last season, and released it this week. So that's what we get, and we're just gonna keep trying. It's kind of like trying to get all our schedules to line up, like I have a schedule. So yeah,
when the stars align.
Yeah, when the stars align, we're gonna have Walt West. She already agreed to it. We're just gonna figure out when and how to pull it off. It's gonna happen.
Might need to do a tour.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, well, I'm working on like a mobile setup here. Like, I already almost got it down to the point where I can just throw it in my bag and go.
Yeah.
I got the essentials here. And you drive, I'll pack it. I'll pack the ride and we'll go. We'll deliver the podcast wherever we gotta go. That actually might be cool, because I really enjoyed looking at you and looking at Juan and being like, I think it made the laughs go farther, because Juan, I realized while we were talking to him, Juan still makes faces like he used to. So it cracks me up. Like, he's got a real expressive face, and I remember, like, back in the day, like, just looking at him used to crack me up sometimes. He'd be making these faces. I don't know how to describe it better than that. It's just he used to do faces. He has a very expressive face, and when he's talking, his whole face is doing a dance. I was enjoying it. It was good. So I guess what the point is, if we want to go deliver this podcast, we can. That'd be great. Also, we need to announce our title pretty early on, because, man, going through our archives, the one today, the bygone era, we were like 10 minutes in before we said anything about what we were talking about. I was like, hey, what is the subject, Sky? What is the topic?
Those are funny.
Yeah, it's going.
Well, are we doing it again? Are we repeating history?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you hit me up for a topic tonight, and I watched Preppers the other day.
Preppers?
I think, what do they call them? I think it's just called Doomsday Preppers. I watched that the other day, and it's just like a regular, I think it's a National Geographic show, and they're just following groups of people, and they begin by everybody announcing what they're prepping for, what they're afraid of, something going on, and they're prepping for it by either practicing skills, storing food, coming up with like escape plans, prepping like bug out bags, and the term that's always brought up is when the shit hits the fan. So SHTF, right? SHTF, shit hitting the fan. So some event occurs, whether it's a bomb, an attack, a shortage, like that. So thinking of that, I've been having these fears lately as I'm watching the news. I think I mentioned a few times I got CNN reports, like they shoot me their headlines, and if it sounds interesting, I'll go and follow it up. So I've been watching headlines, and I don't know if it's me being like here we go, movies like Mel Gibson and that, where he has conspiracy theories. You know, he's just reading titles and just finding stuff that connects. And so this episode, we're basically going to be talking about the shit hitting the fan, and then what I've kind of been seeing play out in the news. Mm-hmm. And then let's go from there. All right? So, again, prepping, shit hitting the fan, something happens, and are you prepared for it? When the shit hits the fan, do you got some kind of plan in motion? Well, you have some plan in motion when something pops off. Now, there have been examples, attacks, nuclear, missiles, just army, whatever. Something's going on. There's attack going on in your city. Even a lot of these shootouts that have been happening. Things are popping off, and it's like, do you have a plan in place for when the shit hits the fan? And it's really just an event that is out of the ordinary, takes you out of the ordinary, and maybe even endangers your life, your well-being, your safety. A lot of these preppers were talking about oil shortages, like something like that, as simple as that, an oil shortage. The fallout, like when the housing, the bubble burst, and like the whole housing market crashed, people lost their homes, values went out the freaking windows, people lost money, there's all kinds of places lost money. Like, what's funny is the big league people didn't really get hurt all that bad. Some did, some got destroyed, but the big ones, they survived, while all kinds of other people around them struggled. So I've just been watching the news lately, and it's got me thinking about, do I have a plan? Do you have a plan? What's going on? Mm-hmm. So we'll start off with what I think is happening, or what I keep hearing, and I brought it up to you, is all these cyber attacks, these ransom, what do they call them? Ransom hacks, or like ransomware, where it takes over a system, a highly sophisticated computer system, and then it holds it ransom, otherwise it'll shut it down for good. It happened to our fucking meat I want to say our meat department, but it's like our entire meat industry, or one of the big plants got knocked out, and then like the food supply just went away of meats. And so, there was panic. And one thing I keep hearing is these places, these big, huge places that supply, entire coast, like the entire East Coast, went down when it came with a pipeline. Was shut down, an oil pipeline that was already in place. It was already running. It was supplying the entire East Coast. And then they got hit by a ransomware cyber attack. And they went down for days, and they were held ransom. Their business was held ransom for days, and people started freaking out. They're like, there's going to be a gas shortage. So then on top of that, people's mentality was like, we better go and get more gas. And it just made it that much worse. They all started filling up drums of oil, like gas, and they're either, what do you call it? When you stock your shelves, you're keeping it, you're gathering it all. What's the saying? You're hoarding it. They started hoarding their gas, and they made the crisis, or whatever it was, the shortage, even worse. The same things going on with guns and ammunition, and like it happened to the toilet paper for the pandemic. People saw a shortage, and they freaked out, and then they made it worse by running and getting more. They're like, we gotta have it. Masks, sanitizer, all that stuff, gloves. 3M basically got shut down, and then at some point they even held us ransom, saying we're not going to release new stuff. That was China. So a lot of times we're talking about voter fraud going on with the elections, and they're saying, the Russians are hacking us and all that. So what I'm talking about is, what I've been seeing is a lineup of all these things, all these attacks, all these ransomwares. So they attack the meat supply, so food, probably even agriculture. Then they attack our utilities, which was the oil. I think I even heard of an East Coast either water plant or electrical plant. I can't remember I have to look that up now, but one of our utility companies was hacked. Again, it was East Coast, so you're making this face like I don't remember this, but like the West Coast, we didn't really feel it. We didn't feel the burn, but it could just as easily happen here.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, what I'm seeing this kind of like pattern in the news. There's a lot of danger out there, and I start wondering in the back of my mind. I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit here. I'm starting to wonder in the back of my mind, is there a chance that this is like a prelude to what's coming? Like there's a little bit of fear in the back of my mind going, maybe I need to be a little more prepared than I feel right now. So what do you think? What do you think about all this? Like, am I painting a clear enough picture for you to say something about it? I mean, I got a movie example too.
I mean, stuff like that, you really start to think about who's with you, or who are you with, or who's gonna help,
who are you gonna rob?
Because there's like a lot of like food shortage, if that would have happened, or even the gas thing where maybe we're not even going anywhere. I think the scary part of that is just, well, I don't want to say scary, but it's just maybe the weapons, to where more people are going to have weapons. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to say weapons are bad or good or whatever, but it just seems like people are carrying weapons.
Yeah.
And
everybody.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe weapons is one of the things on the priority list to have.
Yeah.
But then again, like being self-sufficient as far as like, why can't you grow your own food and live off of what you make?
Yeah.
So all this stuff is almost kind of going back to that sovereignty, self-sufficient, like independent, kind of not taking matters into your own hands, but almost not being a hostage, because that's what it kind of seems like. Almost seems like at any time someone can just come and just steal your identity, and suddenly you're at a loss.
Yeah.
And all the stuff you work for is out the window.
Yeah.
But then again, thinking on that too, I'm like, is it about getting to be rich, or when you're rich you're gonna lose it? So I think almost redefining your riches or your values, because so easily you can get robbed, almost put in a position to where, I don't know, maybe what is your biggest fear, or what is What do you think is the biggest shit hitting the fan?
Okay. So there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to say. All right. So I'll say fire sale. All right, that's the expression. But I'll come back to that. I want to touch on the guns part, the arming yourselves. Like, first of all, about all of this, I'm not trying to say to you or to anybody listening, like, hey, panic, run, like, I want you to hit it, run out and get a gun, or start carrying your gun because you heard this. Like, I'm not saying, like, panic, but I am saying, are you ready if something happens? Mm-hmm. Like, what kind of scenarios do you think you or your family, like everybody in your household, what scenarios do you think you could handle? And are there a few that maybe you should be ready for? So what I'm saying is my mentality has been, my brain has been wrapping around this, like, this climate change, this things are in turmoil, and I think a big part of it has been the pandemic. Like, just kind of putting us all at ends. We're all in the house. We've been kind of held hostage by the government and by, a pandemic, and so understandably we're all a little tense. We're all kind of freaking out, and like I'm saying, there's an increase in gun violence. It seems like it, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, are we only seeing more of it because there's a bill in the House that they're trying to pass? I mean, there's always a bill they're trying to pass on guns, but it's like the president and the vice president seem to be pushing hard for, assault, quote unquote, assault weapons. And so is that why we're seeing it in the news now? Oh, they're shooting this, or is it actually happening more? Mm-hmm. These shootings are occurring. So I'm not saying let's panic, let's freak the hell out, but I am saying, would you be prepared for that? And I'm not even saying, whip out your gun and get in a shootout with a shooter. Yeah. I'm saying, would your family, would the people that you are in contact with know what to do if something happened? So I'm talking shit hit the fan, anytime, anywhere type of deal. Are there scenarios that maybe you should be ready for, you could be ready for, but you're not? So I'm saying that's where my mind's been, is like, I'm going over in my head, what could I handle? And I think a big part, like, if anybody has the ability to go out, I think any kind of medical training, first aid, CPR, I think after learning what I learned, I think it should be the basis for everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody in high school, maybe even middle school, these kids should be taught something about it so that if something goes wrong, they might be able to step in and help. Mm-hmm. Like, including our police, our rangers, not just the ambulance drivers, but our police and the rangers, border patrol, first responders. So the people who first show up should have some kind of training. I've heard horror stories of the police showing up at a stabbing or a shooting here on the res, and they didn't do anything until the ambulance got there. Now, some people died that way, and would they still be alive had somebody either been allowed to step in or had the first responder known what they were doing and could have stepped in? Yeah. So, I'm talking scenarios here, and earlier I said fire sale. Mm-hmm. So, I'm a movie guy, and I'm not saying, I watched a movie, so it's true. But I am saying the concept does exist, and there's no way they didn't take it from something, from a true example. And since we're dealing with cyber attacks, it's kind of making me think that way. So the movie, I think it was Live Free or Die Hard. It was a Die Hard movie. It was with Justin Long and let's see, who else was in that movie? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of people. Yeah, Die Hard. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they brought up a fire sale, and what it was these cyber hackers. They came to, they had their own plan in the end, but what they did is they knocked out utilities, water, electricity. They overpowered the first responding systems, like the ambulances, the fire department, the police. They were all overwhelmed. They fucked with all the traffic signs, so everybody's crashing. They messed with the gas. They were shutting it off everywhere. They were basically throwing all these different utilities out, and basically systems that we depend on for our safety, for our well-being, for our food, for our water, for our houses. And they threw it all up in the air. So the fire sale was, alright, not just one attack on one place, but all of it, and it all went down at once. And the result was pure chaos. Everybody lost their shit. It wasn't even like a bombing, but it was like a bomb went out, because everything went to shit almost immediately. And so the reason I bring that up is what I've been seeing is, a utility company got hacked. Our food company got hacked. Now it's been one at a time. The gas pipeline got hacked and it went down. And what's crazy too is in these stories, the companies, they're so crippled by it, they're so hurt by it, they're losing so much money, they pay the ransom. These nobody hackers, these people who have no face, no name, they're getting paid. And I heard like later stories like, hey, the U.S. or the company, they went out after these people and they got millions back. Well, they paid out hundreds of millions of dollars. Did they actually get all of it back, or did they just get some of it? Like millions. All they could say was millions. They didn't say they get the money back, but they got millions back. So it's like these people got paid. They got their reward, and we got our pipeline back. Now, who's to say it's not all one group? Like, it could be just some little kid with a laptop in a basement just seeing if they could do it. So, I don't know. I don't want to put panic in everybody's hearts here, but I'm saying it's possible. And when it's possible, you got to consider it. So, what do you think? Like, you personally, what do you think you could handle? Like, some kind of scenario. Like, have you even thought about, like, what if there was a fire, like a wildfire? Like, when Baba's burning, I always get this little itch in the back of my neck, the hairs stand up a little bit. Like, fires are devastating. Right now, California is on fire. A whole bunch of states are on fire. We could see the fire up there. Like, that alone is like this huge emergency. So, what do you think? I mean, I get this vibe from you, like you're not even terrified, not even worried. Like, it's elsewhere. A lot of times I feel that way.
I mean, I guess it's sort of like, I mean, there could be so many different things that could come and just fuck shit up, but right now it's good. I don't know, man. I mean, I can't fight fire with my hands. So I don't know. It feels like I talk my way out of stuff to where I think The Walking Dead, to where like maybe suddenly we're all in a compound and zombies are just all around this area, and we're only so many of us in, and we're just trying to survive. Like in those types of settings, I think just having those conversations of I don't know, life. Thinking of the past. Maybe. I think it's like when we say no regrets. Like, I don't know if I can say, oh, no regrets. Like, I don't have no regrets. Like, I still think we ponder on past events to where we actually maybe I would have did something different.
Yeah.
So I almost see it as bring it on, but it's almost kind of like, what can I do? You know?
Would you describe that as a feeling of powerlessness? Because I feel that way in elections. I say, I kind of think, what can I do? Because I feel small.
Maybe on a grand scale, like what can my action actually do to, have an impact?
Okay.
But like, just to be able to express yourself to another person, and then they express themselves back, and then you're able to kind of ponder more on what's happening. Because, like, even with last year, like, anything can happen. So to be kind of like questioned on, if hackers rob us blind and then want money to return it back, so am I gonna be able to find a hacker? Or so I it's almost like my role is not affiliated with anything like that. So I'm like, I'm kind of busy doing other things. I don't know. I mean, I hate to kind of say it like that, but it's, I don't know, maybe that's just my lack of connection to, because hearing you talk about the news, like, I haven't watched the news in some days, and to where I don't know if I don't want to say numb, but I'm definitely cut off to any mainstream thing that's happening right now. Like I said, I'm distracted with other stuff. So I mean, I guess it's like, if they need me, to do something in these type of situations, like, oh, hey, we need your expertise, then I'm out there. What do you need me to do? All right. It's like the Dumber and Dumber when he's like, they gave me this bulletproof vest. He's like, what if they shot you in the face? And he's like, oh, that was a risk we were willing to take. And it's just kind of, I don't know. It's like, you need me to wear a bulletproof vest, I'll wear one.
Okay. So I want to address the zombie apocalypse, but then I'm going to throw some scenarios at you.
Yeah.
All right. And I want it to be as real life as possible, because, and I'm not saying we're going to act it out right here, but I'm saying let's discuss it. So, okay. Zombie apocalypse. A lot of people think that, like, oh, the zombies are coming, but like, and when I think about Walking Dead and Fear of the Walking Dead, Night of the Living Dead, like there's a whole genre based on it. Like, people love it. It's still kind of hot right now, but it's all exaggerated. It's all overblown, but it's not far from what can happen. Example, pandemic. So there's sick people running around. There's people sick and they can spread it.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Then you're not held up in a compound that's the entire group of houses where you live are surrounded by fence and there's zombies attacking at the gate, but we were held up in our houses. It was you and your people, and then every time you left that house, there was danger and possibility of you bringing it back. So, zombie apocalypse, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. It could happen. I don't know. But I'm saying there's still some truth that lies in there.
Yeah.
We've been in it for the past year. Well, we've been having our zombie
apocalypse. What I was going to say is like we're kind of in the midst of kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's happening now.
Yeah.
And so far here we are. We're sitting together and it's okay.
Yeah.
We feel safe. Maybe not so long ago that would be the case, but right now I feel all right. Okay, so yeah, I'm saying zombie apocalypse sounds crazy. We're not far from it, you know. Like if we tweak a few of the storylines a bit, we are following a path like that. We are in it. We might be coming out the other end of it, but like we've been in it. A lot of us took it. We handled it well. Some people lost their mind. A lot of people died. A lot of people died. All right, so, and we're still here right now.
Yeah.
Some people aren't here on the rest, and we even talked about it in the past. So we know how we handled that. Now, say, let's talk. So. I always wonder myself, like, alright, if a shooting happened in my grocery store, I'm there, what am I doing? In my mind, I'm being the movie star, and I'm diving behind stuff and pulling people out, like, get the fuck out of here, like, go, get to the chopper, like, get out of here, like, where's the shooter? Yeah, oh, I'm bulletproof. I'm not gonna get blasted. But, reality sets in. If you're really true with yourself, you start hearing a real live round firing off inside of the store where it just absolutely doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Where is your mind at then? Where the adrenaline starts pumping. What are you gonna do? We had real life, and both hardware stores that I worked for, they had training videos out several times a year that we watched, and it was all about they called it active shooter training.
Oh yeah, we did that.
So somebody shows up, they're pissed off, they're armed, they're shooting, and it really comes down to put stuff between you, so you're turning corners, you're running, you know where your exits are. If you can't escape, then you got to fight because you're dead otherwise.
Yeah.
So. With that in mind, like, how do you think you'd respond? You've had the training, you had the video. What were you thinking while you were doing the video? You kind of have to see yourself in their shoes in these videos.
Yeah, before the training, I actually, I don't know where you were, if you were living in town at the time, but when that shooter shot Gabby.
Yeah, that happened in Tucson.
I was in school at the time, and it was like I had come home and boom, that was on the news.
Yeah.
And it was, the store was a store, maybe one I had, like, in my head I was just thinking, like, what if I was at that store, like, what would I just, and then again you start to think, what would it be, like, when you're saying, like, yeah, you want to be the hero because you think you can stop it, but then realistically, if you're in that actual situation, like, does that go out the window and suddenly you're panicking for your life and you just get down and you just lay down, like, in hopes that you're not gonna get hit or they're gonna spare you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that too, with like the shootings, like the school shootings, where kid just rose up and just like, was that not so much like in those, and even in those kind of settings where you're like, where would I be? Would I hide? Would I who's there? I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of, you want to be not the hero, but you definitely want to be brave. And but then it's a whole different situation if you're actually in there, which I can't even describe. But yet, the fear of that day when I was like, man, like, what if I was in that grocery store shopping and this happened? And I don't know. I feel I would just not hide, but just, just kind of just hope that. I actually wrote a short story about being in the store when a gunshot went off and kind of panicking. And it was like I would say to like Hail Mary, like when I went to catechism, when they make you learn your prayers. So it's like I would like trying to remember any kind of prayer I knew, just to kind of, this is my time. This is my time. But then if I can say something that's going to protect me, then this is probably the closest thing I can say. Prayers that my grandma made me say, But yeah, it's kind of like like walking close to. And is it just because it's a gun?
No, or what do you mean?
I mean,
well,
I brought up the situation with the Giffords, but I guess it's usually a gun.
Okay, if you're saying the type of situation, yeah, we're talking guns right now, but like I got another scenario for you. Last thing I want to say is about the time the first stimulus check hit during the pandemic and all that. I went to a gun shop with my buddy. He was looking for a shotgun. Not necessarily self-defense. I think he just realized he could get a gun, and since he had the money, he wanted to get a gun. And he did all his people do research. They start delving deep into it. They want to find out what gun fits me. So I went with him and we went to the store. I had never actually gone to the store before, so I was curious what was going on in there. I went in there. There was a line out the door. It's a line of people, like probably 30 at a time in the store, and there was probably a good 50 people outside lined up. And they only allowed like 30 in the store at a time, so people were coming in there. When we finally got in there, like all these people were walking out with guns. Like every time the door opened up, some people came out. We went out, they had guns in hand. Same day. And they do the background check and all that, but people are passing, people are getting out. We went in, and there was all types of people. Man and a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Like people were there to get guns, and like, you know, I've seen parents with their kid, and the girl was trying out her pink Glock, you know, pink camouflage rifle. They had, you know, the wife going, you know, he has his gun, but I want my gun. And she's trying, like, you know, a boob gun and, you know, in your boot kind of gun, like a little bit smaller to fit her hand for her pleasure. So, and then there was this dudes like, you know, hell yeah, you know, you see them all decked out in camouflage already. They're rocking their combat boots, and they're getting 3 or 4 guns at a time. You know, they're just like, oh yeah, I want that one, and he's naming off, you know, rattling off the names, you know, the gun nut, I guess, the gun guy, the expert, and, you know, they're going back and forth, but the whole time I'm standing there, like, I'm walking around, but, you know, there's almost only so much you can see. Like, they had a whole nice collection. I'm walking around, looking around. The entire time that register didn't stop. Just ching, 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 ching. Guns are flying off the shelf. Like, guns were getting sold. Money was changing hands. All of a sudden, everybody had these big checks of money they didn't think they'd have, and so they were buying guns. So, what I'm saying is, there's all types of people in there. All types. I swear, there's from young girls to grown-ass men, young, like, short, little, petite women, and they're all getting armed to the teeth. And all I could think was like, holy fuck, like, any one of these people could be one of those people, you know, like, you hope that, you know, whatever checks are getting, the checks and balances that are going on, another person who shot up that store in the past doesn't walk out with one. And maybe, you know, hopefully the people that are walking out with guns aren't giving them to other people who aren't doing the background check. So, I guess I'm saying it's a little more likely, like, even if a shooting went off here in Arizona, there's probably going to be other guns pointed back at them, you know, like, they're going to be there. It's out there. They're out there. The guns are getting out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes me feel safer or worse, but I guess what I'm saying is, it's likely. It's possible.
Yeah.
They are out there. And I think Arizona is one of the few states that doesn't require a concealed carry permit. They just did that recently, but maybe not so recent now. Like, I just remember when I heard it, I was like, "Holy fuck! Like, really? You don't need a class. You don't need a permit. You have your gun. Boom! You're rocking it. It's on your waist. It's in your boot. It's in your car. You know." I remember one time I borrowed my lady's gun, and I was driving, and my whole mentality changed. I remember somebody honked their horn at me, and I just looked, and I was like, "I'll shoot you, motherfucker! Shut up over there! I'll shoot you!" You know, like I was thinking that, like, just like, wow, like, and I kind of caught myself, like, whoa! I went there right away, like, you shut up, or I'll fucking, you know, put your window out. Like, so it's strange, you know. There's this change that happens. I didn't. All right, I didn't even touch the gun, but it was like. The first thought was like, fuck you, I'll blast you. So it's out there, it's possible. So now let's go on to another scenario that's a little more likely. I've had medical training, so what I see even more often, like a scenario, is a car wreck. It's a shit hit the situation for the person in the car wreck. Shit hitting the fan. They didn't expect it. They didn't see it coming. Something unexpected. It happens. Boom. Life-threatening situation. It seems to happen a lot when I'm rolling in the car in Tucson with my baby's mom. And she knows me to the point now, like I've done it so many times, that when a car wreck happens, she's already starting to pull over because she knows I want to jump out and go check it out. Like I've done it a bunch of times now, where it's just second nature now. When I see a car wreck, I run out and go look in the car, make sure everybody's alright. Like, I've yet to see anything super bad. Once I was on my way to school. I was driving down a freeway, the frontage road, so along the freeway. and there was a whole group of us. We just got through one of the lights. We're growing. There was about 3 lanes of traffic, and we're all grouped together. We're going, and this it was like a cable provider van, pulled out like from a side road and went across the traffic. And this big truck at the front of us, the front of the group of cars, slammed into him. Boom, hit him. The van spun around, flew back, and the truck jumped the curve and then went and just kind of ended at the base of the freeway hill. Mm-hmm. And I pulled over, jumped out, ran over, and me and this other guy looked in the window, and this lady who had hit the van, and it wasn't her fault. This dude just shot out last minute, didn't have enough time, and he got hit. He came out as I was running up, and when I got to the side of the car, the lady inside, she was convulsing. She looked like she was I think she was just freaking out, like panicking, like having the whole thing, but it looked like she was having a seizure. So I'm like, oh shit, start yanking on the door, trying to get it out. It's smashed, like shut, and some other guy rode up, so the 2 of us were able to break it open, and we dragged her out, like wrapped around her and dragged her out of the car. Kind of sat her down on the side of the road, and like I think I reached in and turned her truck off, but it was like whoa, on my way to school, it just happened. Shit hit the fan for her. She was having a medical emergency. I wound up coming to class late, but it was like boom, that happened. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been that bad since, but I've jumped out about 4 or 5 other car wrecks where I just show up and there it is. Like there's a bunch of times where somebody's got a flat and they're stuck in the middle of traffic. I've also jumped out and helped push their car out of the way. So it's like it can happen anytime. Like if people don't believe in the gun scenario, maybe they'll believe in that. Maybe some of us have been in this car wreck several times. Like, what do you do then? Have you ever had a scenario like that pop off? Like, you see it happen. What do? Are you prepared for it? Do you have stuff in your car? Is there some kind of medical kit? Is there flares? Anything? I know you've done long overnight drives to Phoenix, you know, cross country. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dark episode. Let's say it like, it's pretty dark. Like, we don't do too well in the dark episodes. I guess I'm bringing it all up just because I've been thinking about it a lot, and I kind of want, if anybody out there is listening, I want them to consider what they could handle. Yeah. And maybe, hey, get a CPR class, learn how to work an AED, learn a little first aid. Yeah. Or at the very least, have a first aid kit in your car, in your home, at work. When I was at both hardware stores, again, they had eye wash stations and first aid boxes on the wall. And I used to think, like, what the hell would I ever need that for? And after I got used to it being there, I get a pretty nasty cut or a big old freaking, I'll be moving like a pallet and get a giant splinter in my hand, and I go and get the tweezers and clean it up with some peroxide and some gauze. And I've done it for other people where their hands got all sliced, and I'm like packing them, like, let me help you out with that because they're bleeding all over the place. It's like, they're there. I used them. I was actually surprised how much I used them.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think where I work is sort of not normalized, but just because we prepare for all that stuff a lot. Yeah. Like, I do have my CPR card.
Nice. Mine is expired.
Yeah, like I've done the shooter. But even like, you know, somebody like that, like going through crisis, or you know, somebody that's dealing with a lot, or you know, maybe they're off their medication. Yeah. but even like that, in times like that, you almost kind of gotta be calm.
Yeah.
Because overreacting sometimes doesn't help either.
Yeah.
But then the NOS, I don't know if you ever heard of the NOS.
The drink?
Not the NOS. I freaked out when I first heard of it. I could be saying it wrong. Maybe I am. Maybe that's what I thought of when I heard it. It's like, I can't even think of it, but it's like if somebody is having a overdose.
Mm-hmm.
And
Narcan?
Yeah, Narcan. Like, I didn't know about that, and we got our training on it, and it was like,
shit,
like
really?
If that's available if someone's having one of those attacks, and just like if administering that, if that needs to be administered, you kind of got to be like prep, like you know what I mean? Like, I guess to make sure you're doing it right. If that's the case, if something drastic were to happen, where you gotta be the one to kind of do that, or if someone's choking and you gotta
the Heimlich
maneuver,
as simple as that can happen.
I don't know. I guess I don't dread like even when you're doing those trainings, I'm like, man, I hope no one choking on my watch. You know? Yeah, because it's like training for the Heimlich maneuver, and even like the CPR thing, where you're doing your training, but to be actually in that situation, they're counting on your energy to do this thing. I mean, it's scary, but then it's also sort of like, it's best you know than being oblivious in the situation and just panic, straight to panic.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where to even start.
So I got a little story about that. Way back when I was doing it was for the training, the EMT training. To get certified towards the end, you have to go to an emergency room and shadow like a tech, like a patient care, a PCT, a patient care technician, or a nurse. And I went to my favorite hospital, and went to two of them. I went to the hospital I was born in, and the hospital that I like, the place where I really like. And during my shift, I was supposed to do a 12-hour shift, and while I was there, somebody showed up, and they were doing a roofing job, and they got burned. All I heard was they were doing a roofing job, and they got burned like almost their entire body with hot tar.
Oh shit!
And it was a big, hullabaloo, but everybody was rushing and walking around, and I wasn't part of the crew. I was like, doing my own thing. We did a flip on a patient where they were doing doing the neck control. What do they call it? Jesus Christ. I'm out of practice. I think that we called it we got C control. It's where you're controlling the vertebrae in the neck. The cervical bones in the neck and cervical. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, no, anyway, it doesn't matter. So I was flipping a patient over there, and then the guy that I was following, I guess, got a report that the burn victim was going into cardiac arrest. And he's like, "Come on, I'm gonna get you some CPR time." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, automatically, I was just like, "Oh shit!" Like, this is it. And I started running with him. Like, he was already running. I was just like, "Oh!" Like, it took a second, and I was like, "Oh shit! Here we go." Not only will I be performing CPR, I'll be performing CPR to somebody who's burned. you know, it's very scary. But suddenly it was like, all right, this is happening on my watch. This guy's gonna get me experience, is what he was saying. I was just like, oh, should I be the one? You know, like, oh shit. And I ran in. I was running with the guy, and we got there. And well, I say luckily, the whole place was packed. Like everybody was rushing it, and the whole room was full. And he's just like, there's too many people in there. Like, don't worry about it. Like, this is all overhanded. And I let out a sigh of relief. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Like, I know what I'm here for, but wow, that would have been a big hit before I even got started, you know. But something similar to that, at the other hospital, I was during the 12-hour. I had full-blown CPR. It wasn't like the first level. It was caretaker CPR, so it was a little bit higher up. They required it, and that included like the ambu bag, the breathing bag, like the handheld face mask, and I went there, and somebody showed up, and they OD'd. They were in a coma, and they're like, "Hey, could you breathe for them?" And again, like, oh, fuck, like heart pounding, adrenaline dump. And I walked over and I started breathing for this person. I want to say they were intubated, and they had the ambu bag on, and I was sitting there breathing for them, and the doctor was watching me. He's like, "Hey, slow down, like you're doing way too fast." And it was like, I had been trained to do that, but I never actually had done it yet. So, you know, of course, my adrenaline was pumping out. I'm basically hyperventilating the person. He's like, "Hey, slow down, spread it out." The next thing I know, I'm breathing for somebody who's in a coma that can't breathe on their own. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, there's a huge difference between training and doing it. But that was my experience. It's part of what I did. And because of that, I would be ready the next time, you know, if I ever have to. And I think when I was done, when it was all said and done, I got certified, I was thinking about the Israelis, how they send all their citizens to be in the army. And I was thinking, you know, I think we'd all be better off if everybody got the training. Like EMT training, it was tough, but it was like the low end of the medical totem pole, really. Like you can keep someone alive until you have machinery or paramedics or nurses to bring them back. So it was like one more thing on my belt where I've had a little bit more confidence. If something happened, I could probably do something, or, you know, prevent a death. And so I'm saying, like, if anybody listening, if you're saying you already have CPR, get that training. It may save a life one day. Maybe somebody in your family, like, there's, you know, God forbid, knock on wood, but it makes a difference, and it kind of help where you can. I still run up to cars, and I hope, you know, against the odds that somebody's seriously hurt, but, you know, I still jump out, and just in case. But of course, you know, the ambulance is on its way, the fire department is on their way, the pros. I'm no pro. I'm hella out of practice, but if I need to be there, I'll be there. So that's a scenario, a car wreck. It happens. It happens. I've been in several car wrecks. You know, you've been in car wrecks. Like, it happens.
Yeah.
Can you think of some other scenario that's possible here? Like something that would just happen here.
Well, I got this story that, and I guess it could have been worse.
Yeah. Depending
on, you know, maybe who was there, who wasn't there. But you know, in the summer, or I don't even know if it was in the summer when, but like in the the weeds, they grow tall and they get dried out fast.
Yeah.
And at my grandma's house, her weeds were like just dry as hell.
Yeah.
And we had to start to clean that. And the neighbor, one of our neighbors, he just kind of said, "Man, why are you guys doing that?" He just set that on fire and you're done. And you know, he goes and sets it on fire.
Shit.
And at first we're handling it, then suddenly it gets kind of windy. And when it starts to spread a little farther,
yep.
And then suddenly it shit's out of control. And I mean, me and my bro, we're just youngsters trying to. I mean, we didn't really know what to do, so we were just like throwing dirt, you know, throwing water. It was luckily there was other neighbors and people heard us panicking to where they rolled up with their shovel and helping us put out this fire.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like a quick 5 minute, 10 minutes of panic where everyone was busting their asses trying to put out that fire.
Yeah.
And it started to go into the next door, the next neighbor's yard too. So it was just, it could have got worse. It could have been a lot worse, you know.
Very easily. Yeah.
And it could have done way more damage. But I think in that slight moment of, was it terror or just, you know, just kind of, I'm responsible for, like,
How old would you say you were?
Like about 14.
I guess that's, I was going to say a good age to fight fire. No, I'm saying like, it was, if you were younger, it might have been even more panic, you know? Like, alright, so what happened?
I mean, luckily our neighbors were stepped in and helped us out, and
community.
And we had, you know, enough people on our side to help put it out, and it just spread further than we planned it, and it was so fast how it happened to where that was scary moments, but
fire season. We get dry as hell out here. I've seen a fire build its own weather system, and then like it built all this pressure up. And it wasn't even a huge fire. It was like spread out and kind of low and chill, but I could see like this like weather system developing above it, and it was like the heat was causing air to rush everywhere, and that quickness built this like thunderstorm above it. And there was this big hole in the sky where you could see through the stars, but all around it was blackness. And I remember it built and built until it was super pitch black, except for that hole. And then it just burst, like it just opened up, and all this wind just like, it felt like a microburst, like this, like wind shot across me. Like I was being a lookout, because I lent my glove to this other guy who had more experience than I did. Like they were going to run the Sawyer crew, or one of the teams on a Sawyer crew, and I was supposed to go with him, but a guy who had done it several times before me, he had lost his glove, and I said, "Here, go ahead and take my glove since you're more experienced." I wish I didn't, but then I got to see this thing happened. Like it burst, all the wind shot down, and this little tiny fire that was always up in the corner of my eye that I kept watching. Like I was looking at the whole mountainside, and it looked like there were fires as much as the stars twinkle. There was that much fire on the hillside. It was just twinkling, this orange in the middle of the night. And then when that thing burst, I remember this kind of halfway decent-sized fire that was up in the corner of my eye just shot up the mountain, like hundreds of feet, maybe a mile. It just went all the way up to the top of the mountain. All I could think was like, holy shit, that was just right there, and now it's way the hell up there. And it just took like a minute, maybe less. Like just wind blew and it shot up the mountain. And I'll never forget it. I was just like, whoa, how quickly you can get out of hand.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's we did some yard work out here, and we wound up with these big piles. And I was sitting out there like looking at it like I could maybe haul that and dump it somewhere, but like I started thinking about burning it. And I was like, I asked my cousins what they thought about that, and they're like, don't do it, man. They're like, you gotta notify the fire department, and you gotta have the fire department come out and watch it happen, and they'll sit out there and just watch it burn and make sure they put out the ashes in the end. And I was like, what happens if I don't call them? They're like, well, if you start a fire and maybe somebody sees it and calls them, and they find out you didn't call them, or say the fire got out of hand and caused all this damage,
yeah,
you'd be liable. You know, they're like, don't do it. You'd be liable. And I'm like, I was looking at it, I was like, maybe let's do a little tiny fire, like off to the side. But then I thought about shit like that, like dry grass, a little bit of wind, and boom, I set Coalfields on fire. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So, but it could happen. Like our house here, we got bushes all around the house. Now that I think about it, I should probably do something about that. Like spread it out, 3 times the height of our house. So what else? You got any other kind of like? You have like another story of just kind of some situation happening, and it's like how you reacted.
How I reacted. I never want to be the guy in the wash.
Dude, alright, yeah.
I get stuck, and then the car starts getting pulled. And
I was just thinking about that.
Sometimes I chance it.
Oh yeah.
But I think when I was younger, there was more crazy times when it was like, do we do it? Do we not do it? It's kind of.
You're in the middle. You're alone in the middle of the desert.
Especially in Tapala, big ass ones in Tapala, where you're like, the house was just right there. You gotta get to this big ass one, and
like
we're
20 feet wide. Doesn't look that deep, right? Doesn't look that deep.
But when it's running at its full potential, man, that shit is scary.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good distance. So from that time to that time, your shit could get just taken away.
Yeah. You ever seen it happen?
No. No, but I've seen the next day where there's a vehicle off to the wash, and they're just, that's why I never want to be that person. But I still chance it all the time. But I'm trying to think of something else, or another like that where shit hits the fan.
Yeah. Have you ever gone in and immediately regretted it?
Gone in.
Like into the wash? Like, have you ever gone in and just like, oh shit, this is a little worse than I thought it'd be?
Yeah. Especially like if there's a hump in the middle of the wash, you don't realize it.
Yeah.
And then it might be soft.
Yeah.
To where you're kind of, maybe your wheels aren't getting traction. I don't know. It's just, it's a risk. I mean, it's a risk, but you're kind of, or if the water is kind of getting high in the window, where you're like, dang, I'm deep. I'm deep in it.
There's a section of road, I want to say out in Goa or Pisima. It's headed out towards Ajo on the res, on down 86, like past South. And there's this section of road, it maybe goes on for quarter mile, maybe half mile, where the road drops like a foot or two, and it stays a foot or two deep for that long of a distance.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a floodplain. That whole area is a floodplain. So when you go into that drop and it's been raining, that thing's full, like 2-3 feet deep.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, we were in this little gray car, and I think we were driving, just cruising, just going. We knew it had been raining, and we went into a section like that, and the car just dipped and shut off. Just sucked water immediately and went off. I was just like, oh shit, And it was, I don't think it went out. I was about to tell. I think what happened was we were going, and I saw it start to go above the window, and a little bit started coming in the doors. But it was like we went. I think my mom kept going, because it's like a quarter mile of road, and we're in a little car. We probably should not have been in there. Should not have gone. But it was. I've seen it happen. I've had like a car where I'm the driver and the car starts choking, just kind of like misfiring. There's been a few times where I went out and a whole bunch of cars were lined up, and I went ahead. I got out of the car and I went up towards the wash, walked past all the cars, and I got up there. And I think we had like an SUV. I just kind of wanted to see, like, all right, do you think we could get through this? We don't want to wait here. Everybody's waiting, but not everybody wants to wait. So we were out there, and I was watching, and then this little car, like little ass car, was like, they were gonna go for it. Like, you ever see people line up? They're like, they're going for it. They're going for it. Yeah. So everybody kind of watches. Yeah, because they're all right. If they get stuck, we're not going. But I might try to follow them in their tracks or something. Like, we're gonna go. And I remember this little car, like low to the fucking ground, like probably lower than a foot from the ground. It went in, and just like you said, in the middle there was a sandbar. And they started to get stuck there, and then they choked out, and they couldn't go. They were just sitting out there in the middle of the road, and I think it was a lady and her kid. And we were just like, you could tell she started you could tell she was panicking in her car. We were just like, oh shit. Luckily, the water had, calmed down. I guess all those cars that were waiting for that, and, it had kind of calmed down. And I remember we went out there, and, we didn't have to pull her out or anything. We just opened the door. She climbed out, mud in her car's getting all muddy. I took my shoes off at the side. I went in, and we wound up, a truck showed up, and we wound up, helping her tie a chain around it, but, we went in and got her and walked her out, her and her kid, and then we went and tried to pull the car out with a truck, and no big deal. It just we go see somebody in trouble, you go help.
Yeah.
But it happens all the time where that's not the case. So I would like to think that anybody who saw me get stuck would do the same. Squad, help, lend a hand. I hope our listeners would lend a hand in one of these scenarios where something goes wrong.
If you're stranded in a wash, you want someone to help you?
Hopefully I'm smart enough not to be the guy. Like you said, I don't want to be the one that gets stuck. Like it's happened. It's happened here where people got washed away.
Oh yeah,
and it happens. I remember Vomery. I think it was before they got the bridge put in, the really big bridge across the giant.
Oh yeah.
And I remember, I think we had it in our runner, where a border patrol had come out. Somebody told him don't do it, and he did it. And then what was in the runner was like a picture of the top of his roof level with the sand. Like the sand was all over, like the truck was in the sand, like covered all the way to the top. It's like, hey, you were told don't go. You tried to go in your big truck, and he lost his truck.
Man,
I bet he got chewed out. Got fined or whatever. Probably not. I don't know. It probably doesn't happen to them. I bet it happens all the time, though. Border Patrol is out in these, like, in the deep neck of the woods out here, and in Texas, and...
Yeah.
But... I don't know if we even need any more scenarios. Well, I'm digging these stories.
Like these quicksand, like... We don't have quicksand.
I've stepped in, like, a dried-up pond, and there was just mud, and I've gotten like stuck. I've even had scenarios where I showed up and there was a cow stuck, and I tried to help, but it's a freaking cow. Like, we couldn't get it out. I wound up calling like our range boss for our village, and he wound up showing up like way later after we had been out there hours. I didn't want to be there, but it was there.
You were trying to get it out?
Yeah, trying to dig it out, and it looked like it had been there for days. It was skinny and looked dehydrated. And the dude showed up, and when he finally showed up, he just wrapped a chain around his horns and dragged his ass out with a truck all the way up the hill. And I was sitting there like, wow, like that's how they do it? Like, wow. Okay. And he just told me, he's like, I've been meaning to come out here, but I've been sick, and this happens like every year when it dries up. And I'm just like, whoa, like, holy shit. Like, when I first saw it, I remember thinking, like, I hope it's dead, because if it's not, I know what I'm going to be doing. And it was alive. I saw it move, and I was like, oh God, like,
oh shit,
dear God. And we didn't have shit, man. We were digging with sticks and with hands, but it was thick. Like, I had to lay logs out across the mud to walk out there. I probably had no business out there digging that thing out. It kept trying to stand up, and I was kept trying to pull on its horns, trying to help it. Couldn't help it. And I went through all the levels of like emotions. I was pissed off. I was sad, and I shed tears, and like felt bad for the cow. Tried to pour like water in its mouth and try to help it, and over its tongue, and it just didn't respond. And I was like, oh, I should put an axe in this cow's head. And I was like, well, what if that doesn't work? Then it's just stuck and has an axe in its head. So it's like, what do I do? And I went through all these emotions, just angry at myself, angry at the cow, like angry at where, it's dry.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do? And like, there was a few of us, and we all were going through the emotion. We just kept going, like, come on, let's just try a little harder. Get in there, and then we pull back. Like it was, this is hopeless. What do we do? And that's the kind of scenario I'm talking about. Like, it could happen. It just happens. Yeah. Shit happens. Shit hits the fan. Whenever. And I guess I want to say I've been tested a few times. And I feel okay about what I've done, but like, I talked with like a couple of my cousins, and a couple of them have been cowboys, and they're like, "Oh, you should have killed that cow." Like, "Oh, just do it. Do the animal a favor. Should have just killed that cow." Like, I would have done it. I'm like, really? Would you have? I think they were talking about a hammer or an axe on the back of the head, and I was just like, I thought I'd be the guy that could do it, and I couldn't. I tried to get it out. I don't know what to do. I was just like, man, like, I just kept trying, and then I figured out, like, maybe I can get a hold of somebody who knows what to do, and I did. He came and pulled him out, and what fucked me up was after all that, like, we were out there midday to sunset when he finally showed up, and he pulled it out, and then he was there like 5-10 minutes, pulled it out, and then started to drive away. And we were looking at the cow, and it was still laying there, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, where are you going? Where are you going? Like, I guess in my mind, I thought, you're going to nurse this thing back to wrap its ankle, and, take care of it. And he's just like, hey, it's up to the cow now. And I was like, whoa. Like, holy crap. And I could see when we had pulled up that there were coyotes hanging around, that they knew he was in there. I think there was even like scratches on his back when we got down there. I was like, damn. It still fucks me thinking about it, like, damn. But it was like, I just happened to be there. I wound up being somebody caught up in it. And that's not like this is a doomsday thing. It's not like, there's a human life at stake, but it was still this animal that I didn't want to see suffer anymore. Yeah. And like, shit, it could have easily been somebody who got stuck in there. Damn. So it was a trip, man. It happens all the time, especially in town, man. We're on the road and somebody pulls something stupid, and you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? And like, it could have just as easily been something. Like, sometimes it's real bad, and like, I'll be driving with my dad, and he'll be like, he drives like a bat out of hell. So like, when something pops out, I'm always worried he's not gonna be able to stop in time. And there's been a few times where something happened, and like, the both of us were like, whoa, like, as he was hitting the brake, like, we're just like, you pucker your asshole, you grit your teeth, and you're like, here we go, like, this is it. Grip the thing, the handle, and just like, take it for the ride. Like, here we go.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, like, get ready for impact. Shit. Alright, so my car got wrecked once. We were waiting in a turning lane, and some guy just swerved, going the other direction. He just swerved and smashed us.
Damn.
And like, I had my cousin with me, his girlfriend, and it was like, the stuff in my trunk flew forward and like hit her in the back, so she was like not moaning, but like whimpering in the back. So as soon as the accident happened, I was like, oh God, I hope my cousin didn't just get killed. I hope she's okay. Like, I was injured, like, my ankle, like, it took the impact up the steering wheel and the gas pedal. And I wasn't completely aware of it at first, but anyway, like, that whole scenario played out. I was like, holy shit, we're lucky to be alive. We walked away. And for like, I want to say like a month after that, it was hard to get in the car. Like, my nerves would just start bunching up, especially because I wasn't driving after that because my car was smashed. So it was like, I got in other people's cars, and they had their hands on the steering wheel, and it's like, all right, it was hard to just let that happen. And maybe like a week after, I want to say 2 weeks, because I took like a week off from work. I went back, and me and my cousin were in the work truck. And some guy, like, he came up fast behind us, and then he, like, came across us quickly. Like he was so aggressive, you knew he was going to try to get in front of us. And then he did, and, like, it forced us to drive towards the curb, like, just to clear way for him. And immediately I was like, here we go again. We're about to smash into like it was like a cutaway for a driveway and this big curb.
Yeah.
And we were just driving right at it because this guy had just swerved and cut us off, and we were like, and I was just like, oh, like, here we go again. Like, here we go. So, fuck. It can just happen. Some people happen several times a year. They're just in accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're wrong.
I don't think we're just storytelling.
Well, I think it's the state of emergency.
Nice.
Or state of trying to be assistant, or trying to be of some type of assistance. But I was thinking of this time where, and it was like when someone just kind of drops something in your lap and like you're the one expected to solve the case. Or, but these guys rolled up to my work with the turtle.
Okay. Yeah.
And the shell, someone had run over the shell. So it was not only a turtle, but it was a turtle kind of busted
up.
And like they were like, what do we do? and so it was like, I had to call around. It's pretty much like an endangered species kind of, or at least to that caliber, to where it's like, these are kind of
protected, at least.
They're sacred, and it's just kind of. Not to say it's not something you don't even want to carry, but it's almost like something where, like, it's almost like a dinosaur. Where you're just like, man, like, you brought this to me, and like, you want me to be responsible for it, to put it in the right hands, or
what am I supposed to do?
But yeah. I mean, I think people can own turtles, and they gotta like build a habitat and stuff. But like these tortoise, or these Sonoran desert tortoise. I mean, they're just kind of. To me, they just need to be left alone. But yet, they will get hurt from time to time. And I mean, I guess they did the right thing, but it was like bringing them to me is not.
That's not right.
Yeah,
I'm not the guy, guys. I'm not the guy.
Yeah,
I got a hammer in my trunk. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I don't even think they can live without a shell.
I don't know.
I've never seen it. I don't even want to look that up, but like, it's like.
Well, I think you can kind of repair it, or not
like
repair it.
It grows like a nail, like a fingernail.
No, I mean like.
I mean, it grows with it, so it's not dead. It's a living part of the body because it grows.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done.
I don't know. It was wild.
Yeah.
It was a wild day that day.
Stuck with you, right?
I mean, it was just like I had to kind of put my thinking cap on, and like I know we got the wildlife, we got the desert museum, and we got our own museum, even I thought about calling the fire department. Just
jeez,
you just kind of
What?
You just
they probably have the same look on their face.
Yeah.
Like what are we supposed to do? I'm thinking. I mean, there's a vet that's on again, off again, out at the.
Yeah.
You know, the complex out there, the rodeo complex. But I think they're only there on weekends.
Well, I think they only serve dogs and cats and horses.
And horses? They're a vet, though. Like, vets are like, trained in everything. I mean, I don't know if they're specialized. I think the Desert Museum, like, if you got the right person on the phone, they might have had some sort of suggestion.
Yeah, but you
like,
know what? I think it's even, like, even in removing it from, like, off the land, or, like,
transporting.
Yeah, it's
tortoise.
sort of a.
Jesus.
I mean, that's a heavy. I don't know. I'm just saying it was almost something like. Not to say I didn't want to be responsible for it, but it was like, man, this turtle's in my hands, you know? Like,
jeez. Yeah.
But, I mean, like, I guess the turtle is not as, that's not shit hitting the fan.
It did for that turtle. For the turtle, it was the shit hitting the fan. Like, oh my god, my shell. Like, hell yeah, for the turtle, it was shit hitting the fan for sure. I don't know. That's one of those situations where I'm like, Jesus, I hope that never happens to me. Like, I hope I never see it. Like, I tend to think I'm kind of like hardened. I don't know if I would say that. I'm not hard, guys. Don't take me for that. But like, I feel like if I saw something like that, I like to think of myself that. But if I saw an animal hurt like that, I might hop out and become part of what's going on. And I hope that doesn't happen. It happens though. I don't even know if, like, hey guys, bring your turtle-sized gauze in the back of your car just in case. I don't know. What are you doing that? I guess the whole point of this is that I want people to think about what's going on around us, what could actually happen here.
Yeah.
And, you know, every single one of us makes trips to town for bigger supplies, you know. There's that long trip between here and the res and Tucson, both ways, and then you got to drive around in Tucson. And Tucson's its own, like, organic, moving thing that is dangerous. It can be dangerous. And as you brought up the story with Gabby, it can happen here too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, another scenario that I think about is we have a Tucson house over there by the base, the Davis Mountain. And Davis Mountain, along with a couple other bases on the west coast here, are huge in defense of the country from this side, from attack. So if attack happened, they'd be some of the responders that would show up. And that also makes it a target. So it's like,
oh yeah.
I try not to dwell on these things. Like, obviously I'm dwelling on it right now, but like, it crosses my mind every now and then. You know, you see the fighter jets running scenarios. You know, they're practicing, they're flying. I even think some of them are getting the lay of the land, like night and day, trying to figure out, you know, what does Tucson look like at any time of the day, so that if they're ever called upon to go fight over the city, they would recognize landmarks and be able to navigate. And every now and then when I see those planes either coming or going, it crosses my mind, like, hey, if they were hit, how badly would we be a part of it? Because it's right there, like. I'm not saying I could throw a stone from the front yard, but I'm saying you can hear their horns in the morning and at night when you know the you can hear it.
Really?
Yeah, it's right there. Like, I guess from us to the highway right here, it's that close. Our house to the Davis Mountain, so you know it's a target. It's a major target, and they're right there. Like that crosses my mind. I try not to dwell on it, but it's like, and us right now, we're in these villages on the south side. We're on the southwest of the United States, just miles from the U.S.-Mexican border, like a major international border, and it's just right there. Like from where we're sitting, it's about 10 miles away, maybe less in certain directions.
What about you got me thinking the 9/11.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Because that felt like we were.
Yeah,
we weren't untouchable. We were.
Yeah.
We were just easily. Well, not easily, but just so out of nowhere we could be thrown off our guard.
Yeah.
That was kind of. I remember we left school early. We were in school.
Yeah.
I think it must have been 9th grade or 8th grade, maybe.
I think it was at least 9th.
Yeah, and
2001.
we went to school. We went home. Yeah, I mean, I
actually went to school.
Yeah,
it wasn't like, oh, this is bad news, but I think when I left, the second tower had gotten hit, but nothing had happened yet.
Yeah.
And we just went to school. I went to school.
No, but they sent us home. We went to school, and then they sent us home early.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, well, that was where it was not like, wow, this is more important. Like, go home and be with your families. That was more important than, nah, you still got school, finish it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where
this is big.
Yeah, like the other stuff that you were supposed to be doing is not that important. This is more important.
Yeah.
Or at least being that young at that time, it was almost like, well, there's still nothing you could do, even as some people as an adult, like, you know, except talk about it or have your theories or you know, that's all I kind of remember about it. Was just sort of just, you know, man, who hates us? Or but then it's like, dang, a lot of people hate us. So it's just hate.
And then the other targets were hit. We found out about them later.
Oh yeah,
that one plane went down. I want to say Flight 94, and it was like, what else could happen? What is this a huge? Could more happen? Is this just the beginning? And it changed how it looks when planes fly over the city, and out here too. I think I don't know if I brought this up before. I tell it all the time because it blew my mind. It was the same week. It was within the same month that happened. And I was out here. I was outside in the middle of the night. And planes were flying around and they were chasing each other. And that happens. They run maneuvers out here. I'm sure there's an airstrip out here. And I remember one of the jets started popping flares, and I started looking, and I started freaking out. I was like, wait a minute, is this practice or is something happening? What's going on? Like, is something actually starting to happen? And I'm witnessing it firsthand right here on the border. And I think it was just maneuvers they were practicing just in case. And then I think I saw same time, not the same day, but same around the same time. I was walking through the desert between my buddy's house and here, and a crew of maybe 10 dudes in uniform, black uniforms. Well, they were uniformly dressed. I didn't see any distinguishing marks on them, but they ran through the desert ahead of me, and that blew my fucking mind. I was like, is this it? Is this what's happening? Like, is this even real? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I could hear them and saw them for a minute. Like off the distance, there was, we got lights out here, but they're real far apart, and I could see their bodies going past, and they all had guns, and they were. I think I could see a little bit of green on their faces, and they were all just running in a group, like a tight group through the trees.
Oh.
It blew my freaking mind. I was like scared. It scared me. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That just happened. It was about that same time, 9/11. I was like, is this happening now? Is this? And then you go through the checklist in your head. Can I handle this? Is there something that's going to happen?
Yeah.
If something happens, am I ready for it? So I guess let's end on that, because you're looking pretty tired. It was a pretty long one. I guess the whole point of this was, if the shit hit the fan, would you know what to do? Are you ready for some scenarios but not others? Can you be more ready? Can you be more prepared? Should you even worry about it? Is it so far away from you? Like you said earlier, can you even do anything if something happened?
Mm-hmm.
Would you even do anything? Should you even do anything? So I guess it's been on my mind. I've been thinking about it. I've been watching the headlines and kind of conspiracy theory now, like just connecting the dots and thinking about everything I've ever heard of and what could happen. And, I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but I do want us, everybody who's listening, anybody who cares to listen. Are you as prepared as you can be? Should you be prepared for more?
Mm-hmm.
Should you even care? You got any last words on that, Sky?
I guess it's always expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
You can never be not ready enough.
Yeah.
But whatever life throws at you, you have to be able to react.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, like if you're in a canoe and your canoe has a hole in it, and the hole is maybe not as bad, there might be some things you can do to stop it from leaking, but
are we all in that canoe with you right now, Scott?
Well, I guess it's sort of like, who has your back, whose back do you have, who you represent, who represents you.
Yeah. Who's speaking for you?
Yeah, but then also sort of, I've been wrestling with this concept too lately, with being comfortable, or maybe being as comfortable as you can in an uncomfortable situation. Because I think a lot of the stuff we're talking about is the uncomfortableness, talking about, you know, shit really hitting the fan, and you need to do something about it, or you need to address it, or you need to, you know, take shit into your own hands and take care of that situation, whatever it is, or with that have the necessary materials you need to either feel safe or you know, even the simple things like, you know, food, water, gas. You know, what's most important.
Could be as simple as having a bottle of water on a long trip. You never know what could happen.
Oh yeah, well, like we were saying, like first aid kit.
Yeah, you could have the best bug out bag in the world, but if you're in town and it's sitting at your home by your front door, it doesn't do you any good. Or if you got a bag full of goodies, but you've never even opened them up and saw how they work. If you've never even worked on them or used them, are you gonna be ready when you need them?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess this is kind of a craze now of people going out and getting guns or, you know, bow and arrows or you know, fire starting kits or survival kits and buying books. I've already participated in quite a bit of it myself. Like, I've got hunting books and roping books, and I've got first aid training. And it's like, all right, you know, I'm part. It may be a craze right now, maybe not. You know, I do like when I was talking about everybody getting trained.
Yeah.
I like a society where everybody can step in. I like a place where everybody has a little something to contribute or will contribute if something happens. I like to think that my fellow man or woman would step in if I were caught in a crisis when the shit hits the fan.
I don't know. I think that's too much pressure on everybody. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think learning it versus applying it is two separate things.
Yeah.
Because, like, everyone can do the training, but when it comes to actually applying it, like, what if they all choke up and be like,
Yeah. Tell you, hey, come perform CBR. I had paused. I paused and said, whoa, am I the guy that should be doing this? And then I started to run. Like, okay. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And I was relieved when I got to that door and it was packed full of people doing what they had to do. Somebody else stepped in, but I was running and I was at the door. So
are we talking about danger?
I'm talking about, danger, whatever. It's kind of like when you, before you got here, and I thought I heard like an animal suffering out there in the desert. It crossed my mind to get my guns and go out there, go check it out. And maybe I had no business out there. Probably get eaten by a mountain lion or something. You never know. Stuff happens all the time.
Yeah.
Stuff is always happening everywhere, and you know, like I liked what you said earlier about expect the unexpected. I think I like more be aware of your surroundings. You know, look for the one guy that's not smiling in a room full of smiling faces. Know where your exits are. Know where your fire extinguisher is at and how to use it. And if you're going to start a fucking fire on a pile of weeds, be damn sure the wind's not coming. You know, like just, you know, dot your I's and cross your T's, and just in case, be ready.
Man, I remember in school they were like, when they talk about like forming your own militia, like if you needed to, you had to be a soldier. Like that always kind of got me scared. Like
what?
Like say like the country was being attacked and we needed to form our own army because our army is busy doing other things. Like they could say, oh hey, you're part of the new crew, just because they need a new crew. But that idea scares me to where I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like the draft hasn't happened in a long time, decades. Yeah. And my name's on the list. I mean, I'm sure I'm over the hill now, like of ages that they'd prefer. But when I registered to vote, I also registered to be drafted if there's a draft. And I'm pretty sure you're on that list too, because you vote. I took my name off. You did? No, I just kidding. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know if you can. Like, it's been so long, they'd probably send my papers to the wrong address at this point. But you know, I'm on the list. I'm enlistable, I guess. I'm on the list somewhere. I guess I'm on the list too, but that was like 18 going into college, and somebody asked if I was registered, and I registered to vote. Yeah. And it also included that enlistment. Huh. We're talking about war. Well, you were talking about forming a militia in case we were attacked. And I'm saying if a war scenario popped off here and we didn't have enough people here, who knows? You know, there could be a drought, and there I am. It's not impossible. I don't know. I gotta go back to what you said about being the guy in the wash. You don't want to be the guy. You know, you don't want to be the guy. You don't want to be the guy that sees that shit happen to the turtle. I didn't want to be the guy that saw the cow. I don't want to be the guy, you know, first into a nasty car wreck. Yeah. But, you know. So sometimes being the guy you don't always want to do, or you don't want to be. I mean, not so much want to be, but like when I finally got certified, I think this happens to everybody who gets certified. Everybody who gets some kind of training, there's this weird kind of horrible attitude of, I hope somebody gets hurt so I can use my training. I mean, it's wore off, but like everybody I've ever come across that gets certified and they come out and they're like, oh, I'm trained, I'm a badass. Yeah. And then something happens, they come rushing in, or they're hoping something horrible happens. And it's awful. Like, why would you hope for that? But it's this like, oh, I can't wait to use my training. Yeah. And it's this weird thing that I've seen with everybody who's ever been certified like that. They're like, I can't wait to use it. I was like that firefighting too. It was like, I'm all trained up. I can fight fire. And it's not the same when there's actually a fire. Yeah. So I wish somebody would. Yeah, nice. Oh, good. Oh man. But I guess to be the one to be called on, or the one to be needed in those times, like, you know, sometimes you have to bite the bullet or rise to the occasion, however you want to see it, but
or run away.
Well, I think that's kind of the two options. You either face it or you run from it.
Fight or flight. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. No, I was thinking of the Foo Fighters, My Hero, the song, the My Hero song.
Oh God.
And
start hearing it in your head. Something goes down.
Well, no, but there's a lyric in there, and it's like, don't the best of them bleed it out. And it says, while the rest of them peter out. And I don't know if Peter is referencing something. I thought it was biblical, maybe, but it's just sort of like you're either gonna do it or you're gonna sort of make excuses to not do it.
Yeah.
But in the video, there's this guy that's like, this apartment's burning and he's just running in, just saving all the things. So I guess if there's something burning, are you gonna jump in and go in and save it? You know what I mean? I think that's kind of thinking of like 9/11 and the firefighters and even the I'm thinking of the movie, is it Black Giraffe? Yeah. Where it's just sort of like where you're walking, it could just crumble.
Yeah.
And you're kind of putting yourself in a even more dangerous situation because now you're endangering yourself to try to help somebody or do something else. So I don't know. It's almost like putting your life at risk to help somebody, help your. Yeah, well, I guess that's kind of what we're talking about, like your situations where you're helping somebody else, or situations where you're actually trying to just survive.
Yeah. If you ever, next time you see an accident, look at how the emergency vehicles park. They're always parked in a way that blocks them in case more stuff comes. In case somebody doesn't see it and they crash into, they tend to put their vehicle in like a blocking manner, just in case. And I see it a lot more with fire trucks. They block the whole scene, and it's not usually like, oh, we don't want people to see this. It's like just in case something else shows up.
Yeah,
somebody crashes into us. And that was another part of the training was don't just run in. That was a big thing. They're like, don't be the hero. Don't just run in, but look around. Look for the fire before you climb in. Look for the car that's about to tip over on top of you because you're trying to get in there too fast. Or don't just run out in the street like, oh, I'm gonna help, and then somebody runs your ass over. So yeah. Again, be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware. Keep your wits about you.
I don't know, man. That's like.
I think we're petering out right now.
I'm like, I know I could pull some more, but
I think we could call it on this.
I think it's definitely giving me some stuff to think about.
Yeah, well, that was the point. Because I've been thinking about it. I'm not saying, oh, I'm thinking about it. You got to think about it, but think about it.
Bomb shelter.
Yeah, just start digging tomorrow.
Underground layer or something. Yeah.
Start taking iodine tablets, like just in case. Start buying up all kinds of food.
Burying my money.
Start piling toilet paper. Yeah.
don't know. Everyone has choices. So,
yeah.
But I think we're talking about like being brave.
Are we?
Yeah, because there's a lot of things you could be fearful of, and if your fear is determining how far you put yourself out there, then you might not want to be one of those people to do the Heimlich on somebody or jump out of a car to help out another car, or, you know, like, that might be too much for somebody to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, like, to kind of put yourself out there, to be brave. It's
the other side to that coin is the mob mentality. People see something happening and they go, oh, somebody else will take care of it. Somebody else will handle that. Somebody, you know, getting beat up in the street, and everybody watches them get beat to death. You know? It's like, oh, somebody better do something. Oh, somebody better help that person.
Yeah.
And then everybody just watches it happen.
Or they record it with their phones.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, nowadays, yes.
And they post it.
Yeah, and then they post it and then they go about their day. Yeah. So I saw we're still going here. I saw this kind of short documentary about people who film it, and they get all this like recognition, and like a lot of them say like, oh, I wasn't sure I could do anything, but I felt like I had a duty to record it so that people see what happened. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes it's all you can do.
Did you watch the ending, how Seinfeld ended? Oh, yeah?
Where they're just watching the big guy get robbed?
Yeah, it's like a good Samaritan law, and because they didn't help, they're like somewhat a part of the crime.
Yeah. They do it on a big scale, like globally, like between nations, but also on a one-on-one level.
So I mean, but that's kind of like,
they call it like duty to act, or something like that. Like you have a duty to act, or like that saying. How about we end on that? The saying, the only thing that evil needs to continue in the world is for good people not to do anything about it.
Or no, that was I had it, but then
I was like, Wallace,
I lost it. It was good though. It was gonna be good.
Work on that.
But yeah, it was very mysterious.
I was on the edge of my seat, like, come on, Sky.
Symbolic.
Blow our minds, Sky.
Third eye, and just multiple double entendres.
So you stood up in your chair like, I got one.
It was just a gem.
Lay it on us, Sky. Lay it on us.
But it's all good though.
Okay.
Well,
I'm sure I butchered the quote too.
Yeah. Well, I listened to it. Maybe it'll come back when we listen to it. When I listen to this episode, but
okay. Final words? I think we already did it, but
my final words are get as comfortable as you can get in the uncomfortableness of everything, because then you're level-headed in any kind of emergency or state of urgency, to where, you know, at least you know that you're assessing it in the best way you can. And that seems like when you're level-headed, not panicking, sometimes you're more effective.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's tough because so easily something can just throw us off our game, or something we're not prepared for, and it happens. So I don't know. I guess never be surprised at what the day throws at you, because it could be some wicked shit or whatever you want to describe it as. But like, I don't know. Like we said, you can either take it on the challenge or say you're not worthy of it and just kind of bow out. Be a wolf. I don't know.
Don't be a woos.
Don't be a woos.
Let's leave it at that. Don't be a woos. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna hit that.
And
button.
I don't. And
Go ahead.
No, woos, wuss, or in any kind of sense of where if that's something you don't want to do and it still needs to get done, even if you don't want to do it, it still needs to get done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that could be any kind of anything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, there's a lot of levels of doing something you don't want to be doing. Because it can be something that could help your life, or it could be something that saves the day, or it could be just something that improves someone else's life, but it took you to be the one to actually follow through and get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, take some initiative and get what needs to be done. But yeah, I'm talking. I'm just talking. Anything's coming out.
Okay. So I just need to hit that button.
Yeah,
I just need to cut it out right here.
Just shut the power off, man. Shut it down.
Need to put an end to all this.
This is right.
Okay. Yeah. I go back to what I said about the turtle. You're like, I don't know if that was the shit hitting the fan. Think about that turtle. It was for the turtle. The shit was hitting the fan. I'm not just talking about turtles here. Like,
yeah.
People, even it may not seem like a big deal to you, but think about the person who's in it. It might be you, like, God forbid, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna hit that button before we say anything else.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
You're giving me a lot of assists, and all
Throw you the alley-oop.
Yeah. You're just setting them up, and I want to knock them all down.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright, we're done.
Have a good day.
Turn it off, man.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm done.
Red button.